This is enough proof to state that every time Disney screws up Star Wars, it's the fans that have to come in and fix this mess. Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the 3 Topic Gamer, and I have a interesting topic video that I didn't actually expect to speak about as early as I have. Now, I recently did actually do my own review of the 6-part Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series on Disney Plus, and gave my own thoughts and reviews in terms of what I liked and didn't like about it. And overall, while I thought the series as a whole was okay, I just didn't think that was good enough to tell an Obi-Wan Kenobi story, what should have been an Obi-Wan Kenobi series story. And it should have been great. It had everything it needed to tell a great story, but unfortunately just could not happen. And near the end of my review, I even stated that I hoped that a fan edit would come out that would remove all of the filler and make a much more coherent and focused story. Well, not long after I made that video and uploaded it, that a fan edit did happen to come out, and I did happen to check it out, and by God, it was a major improvement. In fact, I even mentioned it on Twitter, saying something the line of, oh, I've just seen the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and boy, it is a massive improvement. And while it is certainly not perfect, this is just proof that this should have been a film, and it could have been something that works out pretty good. Now, I cannot leave a link directly to the video, but what I will do is leave a link to either the TikTok account or a website that has the link, and I absolutely would recommend that you check out this fan edit because it is going around, and there are actually some legitimate outsources that are actually talking about it. And this is just proof that, heck, we the fans don't want to hate on Disney Star Wars. We want it to be good, and I hope that this Kai Patterson does not get in trouble for this. I just hope Disney sees it and just take some notes as for how they can make improvements on future Star Wars projects, because they have all the necessary elements to make great Star Wars content. They just don't know how to do it. Now, instead of just going through the entire story, because I'm sure everyone has seen the TV series, and for those who've actually seen the fan cut, I don't need to go into much detail. What I thought was I would just go through a number of things that I really liked about this fan edit, as well as a few things that I don't think actually worked and actually hurt the fan edit a little bit. So let's just run down the list. Starting off with the first thing that this fan edit did improve upon is far less Reva. There was so much Reva that was cut out, and I actually think it helped the character. One of the biggest scenes that was cut out was the very beginning scene showing the attack on the Jedi Order from Order 66. By removing that scene and not knowing anything about Reva's backstory, it makes her that much more mysterious and therefore far more interesting. It's amazing that just removing so much of Reva, at least in my opinion, made her a far more interesting character. Because from the very first episode, when you see that little girl during the attack of Order 66, you automatically know who she grows up to be, and therefore you immediately know what her whole motivation is. But in this fan edit, because there's so much less of her, she's therefore given the little time that you get with her, or the much less of her, actually is impactful, and therefore helps her character. And so by the end of her story, which, spoiler alert, she actually does die in this fan cut, it's actually kind of tragic. You understand her motivation. Her motivation is she is willing to do horrible things and become the monster that made her that way just for an opportunity to strike down that monster. She does awful things to get close to the person who made her the way she is, and by the end, she ultimately fails, realizing that this monster is far more powerful than she ever imagined. So when she dies, I actually felt sorry for her, as opposed to what happens to her in the TV series, which I didn't care at all. So that was one major improvement that I really appreciated. Another thing that they also added was adding some added dialogue. Now, this Kai Patterson actually created a few scenes in this fan edit that actually added to the story and made it much more impactful. Two key scenes that I'll talk about is after the first fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Vader. After Vader is done torturing Obi-Wan Kenobi, and after he gets away, when the fire comes back up, there's a quick little scene where a stormtrooper comes up to Vader and asks him if we should go after him, and Vader simply says, "Don't do it. Don't go after him," which was not in the TV series. Just that small bit of dialogue makes it Vader's choice not to have to go after Obi-Wan Kenobi because he's sure he's going to run into him again. And another scene that also is so impactful is after the second fight between Vader and Obi-Wan. After Obi-Wan Kenobi has defeated Vader, the edit actually makes it look like that he's going to strike down Vader, because he knows the last time that he left Anakin alive, because he thought he was dead, he caused all this harm. He caused all this death and destruction. And I apologize, I have people upstairs. But this time they actually add a little voice note from Qui-Gon Jinn, and depending on how you want to interpret it, you can interpret it as Obi-Wan Kenobi thinking on his promise to Qui-Gon, or Qui-Gon actually reaching out to Obi-Wan Kenobi and telling him, please do not kill Anakin. He is still the chosen one, and he will bring balance. Therefore, that scene of Obi-Wan Kenobi leaving Vader is far more impactful, and I think actually adds to Qui-Gon coming back. Qui-Gon reveals himself because Obi-Wan Kenobi shows that he still has trust in the Force and in his master. And that is the catalyst for Qui-Gon to finally reveal himself at the end. Of just a few lines of dialogue, and there's several more examples throughout this fan edit, just a few lines of added dialogue adds so much more impact. Another thing that he also does is he cuts so much filler. One of the best examples of this is the Leia chase, when Leia's about to get kidnapped. Now, that chase in the TV series was completely silly, but in this edit, all they show is Leia coming out, the bounty hunter right there waiting for her, saying, I came here waiting for you, and then immediately she gets kidnapped. She gets the bag put over her head, and they cut to the next scene. And that's all they needed. They didn't need to add this stupid elaborate chase. And there's a series of other moments throughout this fan edit that cuts all this filler out and actually makes some of these scenes that were stupid in the TV series actually be much faster, much quicker, and therefore much more effective. Another thing that I also think that this scene that was really an improvement is actually moving some scenes around. The best example of this is dealing with the Jedi that is actually killed in, I believe, the first episode. Now, as you know, there's a scene where that first Jedi is in a canteen and he gets discovered by the Inquisitors and he manages to somehow escape. That doesn't happen this time around. This time around, that scene is moved earlier, so he actually runs to Obi-Wan Kenobi first, and then when Obi-Wan Kenobi tells him to just give up, he goes to the canteen and he's immediately killed. And then when Obi-Wan Kenobi comes back into town, he actually sees the decapitated body, which I was shocked about. Like, he actually shows the body with the head cut off. And that is probably one of the most shocking things I've seen in a Star Wars project. I mean, trust me, I've seen heads getting cut off before, but it's always kind of done from an angle you can't exactly see. You actually see the body. And just moving those scenes around changes so many things. This is proof that if they had just thought this out, if they had made it a much more coherent and focused story, it could have had far more impact. Now again, this fan edit isn't perfect, and there are a few things that I just don't think work. Starting off, one of the things I really don't think worked was his addition of adding some classic Star Wars songs. There's a number of scenes throughout this fan edit where he just kind of inserts music that I think he had good intention, but what it ends up doing is it actually ends up overwhelming the dialogue or the action on screen, so you can't even really hear either what's being said or what exactly is happening. And I think by far the worst example of this was actually during the final fight between Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. In the first half of the fight, he's playing Duel of the Fates. In the second half, he's playing Battle of Heroes. And the reason I don't like the introduction of this music is that it actually takes away from the fight itself. Those songs of Duel of the Fates and Battle of Heroes, every time I hear them, I link them to a specific battle. So as I was watching this new edit, I wasn't thinking about the battle I was watching. I was thinking about the final battle at the end of Phantom Menace. I was thinking about Anakin and Obi-Wan's battle at the end of Revenge of the Sith. I wasn't thinking about this battle. And while the music that they originally had in the TV series wasn't as memorable as those last two actual battles, I think it actually worked perfectly for the battle that was presented. So I actually do prefer the Disney TV series theme that they used for that fight rather than him just adding Duel of the Fates and Battle of Heroes. Another thing that I also really didn't like about this edit was the removal of the Lars. I know it would have been difficult because of how little the Lars are actually in this series, but I think maybe trying to add a few scenes would have been a little bit more impactful, because the Owen Lars is only in this fan edit in 3 scenes. You see him at the beginning when he interacts with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then you see him at the end when Obi-Wan Kenobi comes to visit the Lars home, and for whatever reason, Lars lets him meet Luke. But it's never really explained why. I just feel that at that moment, Kenobi hasn't earned the right to meet Luke, to Owen. At least with the TV series, because Kenobi came back and he showed that, yeah, I do care about Luke. Therefore, he earns the right to meet Luke. In this fan edit, he doesn't earn that at all, or at least I felt he didn't earn it. So that was one thing that I just kind of think was a little bit missed off. And the last issue I have is it just had like a few rough edits, just a few. There were a few scenes that I think cut things too soon or cut them too late, and it added just a few silly elements that, whether it was unavoidable or not, still kind of bugged me a little bit. But overall, this was still far superior than the TV series. I've only ever watched all of those episodes only once, and since then I only watched little clips of each episode on YouTube. But this is something that I've already seen 4 times. This is something I would happily pay to go see in theaters in the style that it's in right now. And it's more than enough proof, as I said at the beginning, that this should have been a film to begin with. Forget what happened with Solo. Solo had so many problems, and apparently that was the catalyst that made Disney scared to want to make this a movie and turn it into a TV series. They shouldn't be afraid. They had everything. They had all the right elements to make a great Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, and they just didn't take it. And therefore, I personally, as stated in my review of the TV series, I really hope that they don't do a season 2, because I'm afraid they're going to make even bigger mistakes. But heck, who knows what will happen. So overall, if I had to give the fan edit a rating, I would easily give it like at most a B+. With a few little things, removing a couple things, I probably might have pushed it to like an A-, but overall, massive improvement over the TV series, and something that I absolutely would recommend that if you haven't seen it up to this point, please check it out. It is absolutely well worth your time for it being about 2.5 hours long. So those are just my initial thoughts and just a couple things I liked and disliked about the fan edit. And I just want to say that this Kai Patterson has my absolute support with this project. He did an amazing job, and he showed that we, the Star Wars fans, we don't want to hate on this Disney Star Wars content. We want it to be great, and we just hope that Disney eventually learns its lessons and knows how to use this property the right way, so that we can all come back and love Star Wars the way we should. So those are just my thoughts on the Obi-Wan Kenobi fan edit from Kai Patterson. Again, I will leave a link to a website which has the link that you can see it from, since I don't want to leave a link to the link just directly. So please check it out if you haven't already seen it. And if you have seen it, please share your thoughts with me in the comments down below as well. And like always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Keep track of me in all my future videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you all next time.